Welcome to Decode Dune, an exegesis of the Dune universe.
Hello and welcome to Decode Dune. Mike's here, Jeff's here. It's 7/17/22. We are recording our second episode of the day here, and we are on page 441 of our edition of Dune. How's it going, Jeff?
It's going pretty good, Mike. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well. One comment from last episode I didn't make, but that was literally 2 seconds ago.
More time travel.
Yeah, let's talk about it was really quickly the idea that the Seach stinks, apparently. Smells like bodies, a lot of
Smells
different
like
ozone
ass and onions,
all kinds of different scents going on there. So
some coffee, some onion, some we don't want to describe all the smells.
No.
Let's that would be we should do a whole episode
on the Seach.
What does it smell like in Arrakis?
Yeah. Let's dive right into our new format.
Oh, okay.
So talking about this chapter, Jessica decides to undergo the Water of Life ritual, merging memory and consciousness with the former Sayadina of the Seach. Jessica now has the memory of every Sayadina that has previously participated in this ritual. This ritual is similar to the process the Bene Gesserit used to create Reverend Mothers, but not exactly the same. The ritual involves Jessica drinking poison secreted from a small sandworm, a maker, and metabolizing it in her body. A drop of her saliva is then used to convert this poison into a sort of psychedelic drug that the Seach drinks before having an orgy.
Love it.
So
got more sex stuff for you, Mike.
Yeah,
gotta have an orgy.
I remember so there's I think a couple things to mention here. We have talked about we have mentioned the orgies in previous episodes. But I do remember, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time it's actually mentioned in the book, and it just comes out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah,
right.
It's gonna have an orgy right now.
Yeah, and I think we talked about before, like, what's the age limit on who participates?
Unclear.
So yeah, that's the thing. But
maybe they have like one giant playroom where they send all the young Fremen. Like it's go in the other room and watch a movie. Your mom and I and all the other adults are going to wrestle.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe it's like fuck it. Maybe it's like just going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't like to think about it though, because it already smells funky. Now it's going to smell real funky.
Oh, it's my old college roommate used to call that badissi. Some people just call it sex smell, but I remember we were 18 and he was like, oh yeah, badissi.
Okay.
Booty, dick, ass, and pussy is what
so good.
Not sure why booty and ass are both in there. I guess there's some sort of a difference, but
is that an attempt to gender buttocks or buttholes?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
that seems to be the one genderless aspect. The one thing that men and women share equally:
ass smell,
buttocks, and a butthole.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know why he did that, but badissi is a pretty good. Pretty good defining word. Well, as promised in our last episode, we got to talk about the difference between the Sayadina of the Seach and just being a Reverend Mother or a Bene Gesserit. So they're similar but not the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna make the claim simply because we know that Herbert borrowed quite a bit of his understanding from the Caucasus region, Dagestan, and the surrounding areas, Chechnya, what's now called Chechnya.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, do you know have you ever heard like the lyrics to the Chechnyan
national anthem?
National anthem?
No, but I need to know.
You know what? We definitely need to discuss this. So let me see if I can find it. It is called
Death or
it's not
Freedom.
a Death and Freedom, yeah.
Yes.
And I had the lyrics here.
We were born at night when the she-wolf
Yes,
whelped, in the
yes, you
morning
found
to
it.
lion's deafening roar.
Yeah.
They named us. There is no God except Allah. In eagles' nests, our mothers nursed us. To tame wild stallion on steep rocks, our fathers taught us. There is no God except Allah. Our mothers raised us to dedicate ourselves to our nation and our homeland. And if our nation needs us, we are ready to fight the oppressive hand. There is no God except Allah. We grew up free as eagles, princes of the mountains. There is no threshold from which we will shy away. There is no God except Allah. Okay, this goes on for a while.
Yeah, it's repeated every two stanzas.
It's pretty dope.
So you don't really have to repeat that part if you don't want to, but it's pretty hardcore.
This was written recently.
Yes, like the 90s.
1992.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah.
that's why it's like dope. I'm gonna listen to this later.
Hardcore,
I love
right?
listening to national anthems. Actually, the USSR, the former USSR's national anthem, is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's banging.
Yeah. Oh, so yes, it is. But also back to this. So so I'm going to assume that we're here somewhere in the Bedouin area more than maybe the Chechen. So there is a concept of shaman.
Uh-huh.
They're called Fugara or Fukara, which means like the weak.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were called that because they literally because they didn't eat a lot of food.
Uh-huh.
But they played this sort of socio-religious function within the Bedouin community. They were like any shaman, like anyone who has that title in a culture, they're healing. They're tending to sort of mental illness. They're doing divination. They're back to that sort of animism. They're communing with the spirits that are in the things around them, really defining the spiritual life, not the religious life, which is different, but the spiritual life. So most of what I was able to read on this ascribed this role to men. There are references to women playing this role. I think that might just be modern sexism creeping into the history. I think probably this role could have been played by whoever was most suited to it. I don't think gender played that big a role. When I say I don't think, I need to be clear. Not an anthropologist, not a sociologist. I'm talking right out of my butthole.
Yeah.
So, however, I did see enough references in my reading to women in this role that I think the strong assertion that it's a male only thing, that seemed false. But I don't know.
Retconned in there.
Exactly. But if if there are actual sociologists with an understanding of Bedouin shamanistic practices, would love to hear about it. But anyway, so these folks that played this role are initiated young, like in their early teens. And then the belief is that after this initiation, nothing is hidden from them, that they can see things that are far, they can see things that are things that are subtly obscured. This is very Buddhist talk of me. Obscurations are like your inability to perceive things in the world. So things could be subtly obscured, meaning you could almost pick it out in the periphery. This would be things like ghosts or whatever, but you couldn't quite lock onto it. Spirits, stuff that you would normally think is superstition, they would just say, well, because there's this veil in front of you, whether it comes from your thinking or your spiritual condition or whatever, you actually can't see, but the shaman can see. Right. Right. And maybe if you take if I give you some ritual drugs, or we have a ritual orgy or something, you can have something of that bliss experience. I mean, it's also true that the shaman is really bringing people toward some kind of bliss or ecstatic state that's usually heavily religiously informed. Anyway, so that's who these people are. So there's a long real history of this behavior in nomadic and in tribal communities. And so she's filling, even though the Bene Gesserit have come and sort of left behind a set of myths, the culture in which those myths are, the religious culture in which those myths are, that's probably purely of the Fremen. It's like
Yeah.
very local and specific.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
I love it.
and if I'm not mistaken, and so this is where I reread these chapters before we record, but I also have read the entire Frank Herbert Dune stuff, none of the Brian Herbert. The Reverend Mother ends up being a central figure in the rest of the books. Well, the latter part especially. Like we get serious POV stuff from Reverend Mothers.
Yeah.
And this is where my mind's a little scrambled. This is the first time that the implications of what being a Reverend Mother is mentioned, right?
Yeah.
We have had Reverend Mother Helen Gaius Mochaim previously. She did the Gam Jabbar test, she did the stuff. But this is again in Frank Herbert's writing style that we learn that the Reverend Mother as a title has undergone a ritual. Some die during it. It involves ingesting a substance. And also then being able to collect the memories of the entire chain of Reverend Mothers back to the beginning. And that means they have sort of the ability to access any and all of their memories. They hear from the sort of the voices of those previous Reverend Mothers, and they have to like organize and keep them in check in their brains. And then also, I guess my summary didn't really quite, I have to admit this summary wasn't the best of them. Similar to consuming anything when you're pregnant, Jessica's pregnant. So there is a problem with Jessica undergoing this ritual while pregnant. We find out more about that later. But similar to anything like, you know, crack babies or you drank alcohol while pregnant, all that kind of stuff. You know, when she is sharing consciousness with the current Sayadina, soon to be former Sayadina, she's like, "Oh, you're pregnant? You should have told us. This is not okay." Well, too late now. Is it worth, from a narrative standpoint, and this is where I, you know, so because I it's not really in the chat. There is it is poison. She consumes straight up poison. Yeah. And that is a substance emitted from the small worm. Jeff has muted because his dog is barking a little bit. Pippa Honeybutt. So I mean, I guess to the extent that that there are plenty of poisonous animals, I guess it's just one of their bodily substances that is poisonous, and in the same way that I guess that's what happens. And then this is just through some magic in universe that she is able to convert it into something that becomes something that is more palatable for humans, which is to say a psychedelic drug. When she basically, that's where Chani collects a drop of her saliva into so she's got so to take a step back. Yeah. Shawnee's got like a vat of poison and then like a bottle of this other stuff, and she like collects spittle from Jessica, and it goes into the bottle, and then that's what's passed around and shared amongst all the Siege members. And then they start to get wild and do an orgy. Yeah. There's no science behind this, right? This is just
there is.
There is? Okay.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, if by science we mean anthropology and sociology, yeah, there is. So Victor Turner, he, I think, died in the 80s, is an eminent anthropologist. He is credited with the concept, or at least he devoted quite a bit of his life and work to the concept of liminality. So this idea is, it's the middle phase of a process. It's usually some kind of ritual. So in this case, This is where you pass from one kind of understanding to another, or where a power dynamic shifts. So like in some African cultures where they do either, so boys will be taken, separated from their mothers, the men take them, they scare the holy shit out of them, they put them in caves or do whatever. Eventually they do something to their dicks. Usually there's for some reason there's always some sexual
Gotta be some
component to
dick
it.
stuff.
You get stabbed in the dick or something, right? Or it could be like, it could be your clit, like something bad happens both for men and women. But mainly what's happening is there's a process by which the young man or young woman is brought through experiences meant on the back end. So passing that, there's like this liminal passage, like stepping across the threshold of a doorway. So you have your life as a child, then you go through this process. Like, well, let's take the male kind of initiation route. Then you go through this process. The men fucking take you out and they scare the shit out of you and do what they start doing manly things. And you're like, holy fuck. I liked hanging around mom. I don't know any of this. This is scary.
Yeah.
They make them do something. And then at the end, they're like, okay, you're now something else. The power dynamic has shifted. You're no longer a child. You're now a man. You're no longer a child. You're now a woman. You're no longer a common member of our society. You are a priest or a shaman or a leader of some kind. They all have this idea of the liminal phase. Really anything that is kind of a short-lived period where there's an upending of previous hierarchy or power dynamics or understanding. So yeah, there is science to this.
Sorry. I meant in terms of converting poison into a psychedelic with your mouth.
Oh, okay. So
Is
not science, but since we're talking about it, there is a Buddhist, there's a Buddhist text called the Wheel of Sharp Weapons. The book is titled The Peacock in the Poison Grove. And so there's a Buddhist myth, this idea that the peacock, and maybe the peacocks actually were, I think they believe that a plant that the peacocks ate is poisonous. But the peacocks could eat it and process the poison with no problem. And so the way that metaphor, or the way that metaphorically relates to the Wheel of Sharp Weapons, is the Wheel of Sharp Weapons is just a long recitation of the faults of human beings.
Right. Yeah.
With this, like, and just like me, blah, blah, blah. So it's really accepting all of your faults. And the idea is to transmute the poison into the substance that you require to make your spiritual journey. This also exists in of course, in the Christian religion. We, especially the Catholics, where there's is it the transubstantiation, the blood and body of Christ become like spiritual food. They believe that it transforms from mere wine and bread. In Tibetan Buddhist rituals, there's often some transformation of materials into some kind of that help you to transform, or like you're drinking from an ocean of bliss. This idea that you're taking something that's common, base, or even potentially a hazard to your health, you consume it along with some kind of religious ritual, and then the outcome is the spiritual sustenance, or the thing that you need to drive you forward. Now, that's not science,
right?
But this is non-different from what was once considered science. I hope you can see where I'm going, right? Which is the transmutation of base metals to gold. This was both a religious. So we're talking about alchemy now, right?
Right.
By the way, this is why Tibetan Buddhists and alchemists often get linked together in comic books and movies and other tropes, right? Because they're all looking for the same thing. They're all looking for similar things. They're looking to take the base materials present in this plane, this spiritual plane of existence, and use them as the material that would transform a person, or allow a person to extend into some other plane of existence. Yeah, so that could be connection to God, right? And then some people are like, wait a minute, I can wait. I hear the religious part, but did I hear you say lead could be gold? You
Right.
bastard, you had me at go. Let's do
Right.
that, right?
Right.
Yeah. Of course, I don't know whether this is real or not. But it has probably these ideas mixed with actual science are probably the reason that we all have little bits of microplastic in our blood and lungs now.
Sure.
Right. But yeah, so there is, I think, or some science is driven by these ideas. Informed by them is maybe a better way to say it, but the history of that science informed by it. So the desire to rid human beings of all sort of health issues, get to a place where you had some substance or substances that regenerate, extend the life, do these things. Like, who doesn't want that? So I don't know if I'm rambling again, but I think these are common themes in human existence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what's going on. So that idea of like, I'd give you a little spittle from the priestess, and then that you by imbibing that, getting high and releasing some inhibitions, takes you closer to your spiritual aspiration. That seems totally normal. It's wacky, but totally normal, right?
Right.
All religions eventually become sex cults. All of them. It's impossible for it not to happen.
Right.
And I'll fight any religious person on the planet, or I'll challenge any religious person on the planet to show me otherwise.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah. I was reading about a Greek monk who passed away recently, who had never seen a woman. His mother died at birth, and he lived in the monastery his entire life. And those fuckers venerated him and literally did this weird experiment, and like, he was not allowed to see women.
Yeah.
So tell me that's not a sex cult.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't mean to pick on the Greeks. It's like I think it's the Greek festival is happening right now.
Yeah.
Delicious food, great people.
Yeah.
Also, one of them wasn't allowed to see a woman his entire life.
Yeah. I mean, that could have been cool for him. We don't know.
Oh yeah, he might have enjoyed it.
Yeah. Who knows?
How fortunate if he only liked wieners and it just worked out that way. We'll never know though, because he never knew anything else.
Well, what did he know about sexuality, right? Because he's
in a monastery, Mike.
It doesn't necessarily imply that he engaged in homosexuality, right? So,
well, we wouldn't call, like, it would be whatever sexuality he had. It would been by force would have. I mean,
what fills that vacuum? Would it be that? Could we say that if he was heterosexual but never saw a woman, he would find himself just attracted to like round shapes, as opposed to straight lines?
You'll have to ask Joe Rogan and his his Darwinian anthropologist or whatever.
What fills that void, right? Like, he would just be like, oh, when I masturbate, I think of pretzels. I don't know. Like, it just becomes like.
My son used to say, if sticks and nuts were dicks and butts. I don't know where that rhyme came from, but yeah. I mean, I don't know what certainly your understanding of, like, to the extent that your sexuality is in any way supported by the relationships you have with other people, right? It's going to involve some beards for sure.
I guess
you've got to get, like, you can't go your whole life and never have a boner. So
no, I'm suggesting he might have found himself attracted to or he may have ended up associating what his misconstrued understanding of sexuality is, if he was in fact heterosexual, with inanimate objects or random things, where there might just be a correlation between like oranges and sexuality. There just something fills that void, is my thought.
Can I tell you honestly?
What?
I hate this conversation.
Why?
Just because I feel so bad for the guy.
Yeah.
And I don't have a very generous perspective on what people in monasteries are doing with their sexual urges. So it just feels like he was trapped. And probably it just comes down to like whatever he was exposed to.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, I don't know that nature would overcome nurture in this scenario, which is, I think, what you're getting at. I think in this scenario, you don't really, whatever your core programming might have been.
Yeah.
It's going to be whatever gets you off, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could start with look at that peach.
Right.
But probably it's going to be like whatever you might see in the monastery. So let's assume that all the monks in that monastery were equally good people and nobody did anything. Yeah, he could be attracted to his spoon, his fork,
Right.
whatever. But probably it was shaped by the dudes around him.
Yeah.
Sadly. Maybe they left him alone because he'd never seen a woman. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just remain pure in all contexts, I guess.
I wonder if that meant they had to watch him all the time. Can't let him have a wank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
anyway, this is why I hate this conversation. My heart breaks for him.
That just removes what would he wank about, right?
Wait, you have to have an about?
I think you do.
Well, apologize to my children who might one day listen to this, but do you?
I don't know of there being an empty void.
I guess I'm just saying, like, I've never needed too compelling a reason.
No, I'm talking about a image, right?
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the bank. What goes in the bank?
Yeah.
What goes in the bank?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. And that guy's may very well have just ended up with random objects or things like that. And so I don't know. Like I don't necessarily know if that's bad.
Oh yeah.
It
Like
might
he just falls in love with one sandal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're biased on our own experience. We don't know.
We
don't know if his may have been better or neutral.
Maybe.
Or
there are people who fall in love with like inanimate objects, right? Car, Eiffel Tower, I've heard, is a thing that a person wanted to. They both feel emotionally gratified by the object, and they have a strong desire to be sexually gratified. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. This is why I hate this conversation.
Okay.
None of this no. I mean, I love having it, but it also hurts me on the inside. I'm like, how fucking awful would it be to fall in love with your car by accident? Like, those kid stories where like the duck falls in love with the crocodile or something, and you're like, oh, how cute, right?
No, that is a story about predation.
Yeah, exactly. That's which may also be that monk story. But anyway, okay, we've definitely wandered.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry
so let's continue on with the chapters. There's not really much to say in my mind other than we get a full confirmation that that Shawnee and Paul are headed into a romance.
Does that romance begin, by the way, with the orgy?
I think so. I mean,
they were
I guess you could say they were flirting before they were sticking close to each other, but I think this is where it was consummated. I don't know. Like, again, Frank Herbert, did they fuck? Did they?
Yeah. Specifically, did they fuck at the orgy is what I want to know.
Well, because I think she pulls him away from the orgy. Maybe that's the beginning of the next chapter. That's whatever. She actually.
See, that's like the fantasy of being at the strip club, and then they're like the and again, apologies for people for whom this is a living. Not at all denigrating what you do. It's amazing what you do, and you live your life, queen and king. But every dude. Well, not every dude, but some dudes have this fantasy that the stripper who's currently talking to them, really wants to go to that private room because there's going to be a love connection. But what's no, it's real.
Okay.
And I
No,
trust
no,
me.
no, that's real.
But
I don't
remember
know if,
Butters, where they take Butters?
I don't know if that's the story here. I think the story here is an orgy's breaking out, and your girlfriend comes to be like, "You will not enjoy that. We're gonna."
No,
Yeah.
not your girlfriend yet, because she kind of wanted to kill him earlier. Like, yeah, they might be like sizing each other up or whatever, but no real, they don't have a relationship right now.
Yeah, sure. They don't have a physical relation. They've already been engaged in a courting ritual of sorts.
Yeah, I just think this is a breakdown. For instance, I just think it's a breakdown in Herbert's ability to deal with the actual implications of being a member of the Fremen society. So if let's imagine Chani is of the age to participate.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't she? Why wouldn't she pull him into the orgy? Why would she pull him away from it? She shouldn't have any shame. She shouldn't. She should feel like, hey, let's go do the thing. I like you, you like me.
Yeah. Isn't the whole thing that this is anomalous, that she pulls him towards monogamy in contrast to what everything else would suggest?
What I'm saying, yeah, maybe that's what it is. I'm suggesting that maybe it was just too big a leap for Herbert to just let it play out the way it might actually have played out, given Chani's position inside this tribe. The more likely outcome from my perspective is that they would have gone and done the orgy. That would have been the best expression, the best way for her to introduce him, someone that she maybe has, that she seems to have the eye for, and he seems to have the eye back. Well, you like me, I like you, and we're all fucking. Let's go. Let's go do that. But instead, it's Herbert's own fucking inability to let that happen. So this is why I think this is Herbert's mind pulling a Butters. Do you remember when Butters in South Park goes to what's the wings place where the Hooters?
Yeah.
And he falls in love with the Hooters waitress, and he thinks that she loves him back.
I don't. I don't.
That's too bad. Sure. Okay, it doesn't matter if you remember it or not, because the trope is pretty easily accessible.
Yeah.
This poor kid Butters just believe everything that the Hooters waitress is saying about how cute he is, and she's completely bored out of her mind and is just wearing the outfit at work and just trying to get through her work day.
Yeah.
But Butters has misinterpreted this as she's my girlfriend. And so yeah.
There's like an anthropological, women get frustrated. Why is it every time I'm nice to a guy, he thinks he wants me? Which is, on the one hand, I get it. It's frustrating for women, but there's like a sort of a biological and anthropological reason of better to be wrong and just shoot your shot than get rejected than miss what was an opportunity that may never come back. Because stereotype here, women also simultaneously do get frustrated when men don't pick up on their signals, and they don't escalate when the signal isn't being received. They usually rescind, saying he didn't pick up my signal, he wasn't interested, or he's too much of a pussy to pursue me. And so if there's, it's kind of burning from both ends, right? If women escalated when they were like, he's not hearing my signals, I will just kiss him, then that would clear that up. But simultaneously, because we have this dynamic, it goes the other way, where men tend to get the smallest amount of positive attention or neutral attention and go, she's interested. And why? Well, because I throw some heat back at her, and if I was wrong, oh well, I guess we won't be friends. The loss is nothing to me. I guess it's to her a growing frustration with this has happened 28,000 times in her life.
Yeah.
But I don't know or care about that. I'm thinking what I would hate is to have passed up on the opportunity and find out later about it, or all that stuff, right?
I guess it comes down to what opportunity we think we're missing. So if it's just an opportunity to spread our genetic material, then fuck, Yeah, it could be, but you know what?
Well,
We
hold on, I
fuck-
wasn't.
Oh,
Good.
no. Like I'm saying, like if that's the opportunity that's the shot on that we're trying to take on goal, I feel like we have developed this giant fucking layer of brain
Yeah.
and all of these capabilities. And then we're just like, I just gotta fucking throw my genetic material all over the room and see where it sticks. That
No,
seems. Oh no,
no,
I'm not saying.
I think it's everything. It's she
Well-
was interested in me,
Mhm.
and now she thinks I'm a coward because she thinks I'm a coward and or
And I'm trying to draw a
Hold on.
distinction between interested how. So
interested in a romantic potential relationship that could
Okay.
be anywhere from sex to growing deeper or grows deeper first and then becomes sexual.
Mhm.
I'm talking about anything that is not platonic. And the
yeah, no, I
variety-
get it. I get
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
I did understand you.
yeah,
What I'm saying is that I think so. If you just defined a spectrum where
Yeah.
on one hand it's sex, and on the other hand it's a deeper loving relationship,
Right.
and then there's all these permutations along that spectrum. And what I'm saying is, if we're way at the edge of the just sex, this would be fucking super annoying. It should be annoying to anybody, because if that's the motivation, then we're foregoing all of the advantages that have been conveyed to us evolutionarily to just have some sex. If I was a woman, and every dude that because if the woman has to figure out on some level what's going on here. And most of the time I posit it's just a desire to have sex. It's not really a desire, because like to have a
I mean, very
well,
rarely do you go and bang in a bathroom in the middle of the afternoon. Most
no, but there's a lot of
most
dudes who
inner-
will like do a lot of stuff in order to get laid. And then there's a question of like, should this be a relationship? And then you're like, I don't know. I got to figure that out. There's a difference between recognizing that maybe there's some sexual compatibility or sexual interest, or could be, and wanting to have a long-term relationship. One takes I would posit much more time and understanding. Well, right. But so if you're a woman as opposed to a dude,
yeah,
what's happening to you probably all the time
yeah,
is that dudes who are living closer to the I want to have sex with you,
yeah.
that's mostly what they're getting. That's what I don't know.
I guess.
That's what I read on Reddit anyway.
What?
I don't know, because here's the thing. I'm an old white guy.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know shit about shit.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we should probably let actual women tell us what's going on. So if there's women who listen to this, please let us know.
I mean, they can tell us their perspectives, but they're not necessarily going to be speaking the facts of what happens. But I mean, I'm open to hearing their perspective.
Wait, it would be more factual than anything that we've just said, wouldn't it?
What would be?
Oh, whatever a woman has to say about her experience with actual men. Because we're talking about
because she's not a mind reader of other men. So she wouldn't know. She would only be able to speak from what her perception of it would be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all I'm really saying is this.
So her perception could be, all these men want is sex. I get whatever, but it's impossible to know what the actual agenda of someone else is. And I don't think that's true.
Yeah. Because I think to establish a real deep relationship takes a lot of time and investment.
For sure. Yeah.
So it usually doesn't start out with sex. So when that's the early motivating so what normally gets dudes to look at other women is that they fall into their sexual compatibility category. It's got to be
attractiveness.
Yeah, it's got to be much rarer for it to be some other factor. So the majority of shots on goal are really about sexual compatibility first and foremost, and then relationship later, unless you've had time to get to know each other.
That's like coworker. Okay, I get what you're saying.
I don't know if coworker, but yes, some
former coworker. Yeah. Yeah, we're finally able
why are we so fixated on work, Mike?
Oh, because I just don't know where else. I don't know where else you interact.
I was just making school like.
I'm fucking 40. I don't have a social circle. Okay.
Anyway,
where would I do? Be jujitsu work? I mean, aside from the fact that I'm married, I'm just saying, like, I haven't been in school in a long time, and
All right. Well, all I'm really trying to say is this: I think culturally, that what happened, to the extent that this is important now, what's happening here is that Frank Herbert can't allow Chani and Paul to participate in the orgy. It's not that they wouldn't naturally do it. They probably would. The only person it would be weird for would be Paul, because he's not immersed in the culture. He wasn't raised within it. But for Chani, I think she'd just grab and be like, hey, come on, it's fucking time.
Right.
Let's go do that.
Or do we believe Chani might be a virgin? And and we don't know about, is this the first time that people have sex in the orgy? Or is there customs around you already have to have been, like, we don't have any sense of Fremen virginity or sexual rituals other than the fact that
they're just like, let's go have a religious experience, and that entails a spontaneous orgy, leads me to believe that it's possible. So I don't know, she could be or couldn't be. But again, I would say if she's old enough to be present at the ritual,
right,
then she has to, not Paul, but Chani has to know what the fuck is about to go down.
Yeah, of course.
She would have had to go through her own enculturation process.
Yeah.
So she knows what's up.
Yeah.
Whether she's a virgin or not, it's still fucking time. I'm still at an orgy. We just did the thing, and this is what my people do. I think so. My whole thing is, I think that Herbert is the one who because of his own ideas about modesty or whatever, his own views, he's like, no, the way this has to work is like Chani has to take Paul away from this, so that it could be special and not base.
Yeah, this is Frank Herbert being a sexual weirdo again.
Boom. High five.
Yeah, he's a sex weirdo.
He is a sex weirdo.
He can't have Paul. No, Paul could not participate. You can't have Tony Soprano kill someone with his bare hands in episode 4 of the first season.
No.
But then they did, and it was groundbreaking. In this case, and this is why Frank Herbert is groundbreaking in some ways, but ultimately a sex nerd who annoys me reading it in the modern times, right? With all of the fucking he's not doing, right?
Right.
Paul couldn't participate in the ritual, but then also have a woman, maybe a couple women or whatever. No, he has to go pursue a European style monogamous relationship away from all of that.
Yes.
And he has to turn down the MILF who's like, I'm still legit, right? He has to do all of that.
Is no joke. She was probably hot.
Oh, Hera is described as Monica Bellucci. I don't know specifically Monica Bellucci, but she is described as still hot. She's probably about 35, right?
Or 55. That doesn't matter. Let's not. Like, I'm old. Let's not bring age into this. Okay. Because if you go too low, then I can't participate in the conversation.
I'll say this. For 1965, she's 35. If it were 2022, she would be.
I was just kidding. Yeah, I was just kidding. Anyway,
we're talking about women. We're talking about gendered stuff. We're talking about women. So also that, just embrace the sexism and realize that women are older, younger than men. You know what I'm saying?
For those of you who listen to this and aren't watching it on YouTube, I just made the biggest stink face ever.
What? Women are older, younger than men?
Just the whole embrace the sexism is what really started my fucked up face. But yeah. So
is Hera younger or older than Stilgar? Or are they of an age?
I don't know.
Yeah. Either way, I'm saying Hera
Great question.
is like 35 and she's saying, I'm not an old woman.
No.
Yeah, she's like,
Yeah.
now to him, he's like 16 by now, 15, 16.
She's got her own channel on Fremen Pornhub.
Yeah.
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 Not her, like, that's not what I meant, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
like MILF or whatever. She's in
Yeah.
that category. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, it all comes down to Herbert and the way that he imagines this world, and what he allows himself to imagine determines what's possible here. So he set the conditions where it's culturally appropriate for the entire fucking siege to have a big sausage fest. And then then his own mind got blown, and he's like, no, I can't have the love interest that I'm building here be stained by just some random ritualized sex.
Right.
So they have to go off and have a romance.
It's not just her. It's
but
him.
They're still going to.
It's not just her. It's not just her. It's him too, because he never fucks Irulan, which is, in my opinion, also very dumb writing. It's just stupid. But whatever. Yeah. I just we see the world through our own eyes.
Also, if you saw the Lynch movie, he really made a mistake because she was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
That's my particular taste. I think
is that
I don't know who the actress is. Chapter? Yeah, you want to stop talking about the orgy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. It's just not that interesting. I mean, we've
I was enjoying this part. Okay. All right.
No,
I was just going to pay my wife a compliment and say that Princess Irulan in the Lynch movie reminds me of my wife.
Oh, no, she's good looking.
I guess if I have a style, it's my wife and that actress.
Do we have to, I guess, address the casting of the we've been far away, there is that second movie coming out. Do we have anything to say about the casting rumors?
Are they real?
I can't. Florence Pugh is Irulan.
I don't know who these people are. Let me see.
I don't like it.
Who's Florence Pugh?
She was in Midsummer.
Is it P-E-W? Oh, P-O-U.
P-U-G-H. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like any of the casting.
Wait, whoa! What? Why is this a bad choice?
I don't know. I just don't see it.
Oh, I see it. I don't know what you're looking at, but I definitely see it. Why not?
I don't know. I guess it's fine. You know what I think it is? I think it's that I just am not. I think I'm.
Are you looking at these side by side? She's like the spitting fucking image of the woman who played her in the first movie.
Yeah. I think
also hot, by the way.
I don't find her hot, but I think sometimes she is.
All right.
Sometimes she is.
So you're definitely not going to the orgy with Miss Pugh.
I mean, I'll go if it doesn't cost much.
Okay.
Do
orgies cost? Do you think they had to pay to get in?
No, I don't know.
Anyway.
All
right. I don't know. I do have a question though. Is Christopher Walken actually being considered, or is that a joke?
I don't know. Because
that would be fucking amazing.
The book says that the Emperor only looks like he's 35.
Yeah.
So this idea that the Emperor needs to be an old man is not canon.
Not good.
So
not good. Yeah.
And then
also,
there's the guy
he needs battle pugs.
There's the guy who's Fade Routha. I've never seen this guy act. I guess he looks the part.
Let's see.
Can he pull it off? I don't know.
Fade Routha.
Like I don't know who these.
So this guy is Elvis Austin Butler. Is that who we're talking about?
Yeah. I think I'm disappointed about. I wanted Alex Hugh Anderson from Vikings to be Fade Routha. I thought that was the move.
Yeah.
And they got this guy who kind of looks like a poor man's Val Kilmer.
Oh. Yeah. I'm okay with this. I don't see the problem. Like, he just needs to look like a dandy, like a space dandy.
Yeah.
That's all that's necessary, right? He needs to be convincing He just needs to be a space dandy.
If they show that he is actually a dandy, right?
Yeah.
They need
Yeah.
to write that in. They need to write that he actually was not going to be better than the slave.
Yeah.
That whole thing.
Yeah. So he definitely needs that. I mean, this is what I thought so I thought Sting was both awful and great in the Lynch movie. Awful because because I'm not a huge Sting fan, but but I thought he was great because he definitely played up that dandy part. It's like he seems so certain that everything was going to go his way, and I felt like he really conveyed that idea pretty well. Maybe that's just a character attribute that Sting actually has. Hey Sting, reach out to us. Do we have an email address?
Yeah.
What is it?
For Sting? I don't know.
No, for us.
decode@gmail.com.
Yes. Sting, if you're listening and you want to talk, I want to know how much you share in common with your portrayal of Fade Robin. So email us. But anyway, I think it's fine. I was so impressed with the first movie, except for Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
That I can trust their casting choices.
Yeah. Cool.
I hate Jason Momoa though. No, Jason, I don't hate you. We can talk about it directly if you email us at the address Mike just gave. I don't hate you. I just think you were a bad choice for Duncan. And I'm sorry, but you're acting like it's like having The Rock.
Yeah.
In there. I also love The Rock, but he like if you imagine The Rock as a Beast Reborn or something, it'd be horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the same reason. And the fact that we're going to have to live with you now, Jason, for the rest of these movies, sad.
Yeah.
Good for you, though.
If they happen.
Yeah.
Beyond
good for you.
this, so. All right.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up this episode.
We don't want to insult any of the other actors.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
All right. So this is it for this episode of Decode Dune.
And the end of Jeff's Hollywood career.
Yeah.
Check us out for the next one, which is coming up in just a moment. Bye.
Like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. And to hear more readings, become a Patreon supporter at Patreon/Decode Podcast.